Hello everyone, my name is Achilles and I am playing a Napoleon Total War battle as the Ottomans against Russia. In my army, on my left flank, I have two lights, two lines, two shooter cav, two elite lancers, one of which is in the center, three more lines in the center with my general, and on the right flank I have three infantry and three semi-janissaries and another shooter cav. For my opponent as the Russians, he has some hussars and some Cossacks on his left flank, together with some Russian Jaegers, the elite 17th Jaeger Regiment, and a musketeer, Liveguard Foot, and a Moscow musketeer. In the center, a bunch of Uhlans, decent lancers, together with two Liveguard Foot, and another heavy cav unit, and then on his right flank some more Russian Jaegers, and two more musketeers, and some hussars. So a common tactic on Italian grassland, especially in a 1v1, is to take the hill in the center. You do not want to take this hill here because the elevation is quite negligible in the sense that it doesn't really matter, and there are some pretty good attack angles from the forest as well. I guess you can abuse these, well, I see abuse, you can use these ridges, but overall this hill is far better. Some people also like to actually fight their battles in this area, but I think it's quite boring. I think this one is, over here is much more enjoyable and interesting. So a common tactic is, of course, as I said before, you take this hill. That's why we're both moving up our cavalry pretty hard. These Uhlans are, really good to just run up here and charge, but I have a Slither Guard up here, and the Slither Guard has, quite a bit of morale. They're not going to break even though they're going to charge head-on into 3 full Uhlan units. And so that's what's going to happen right here. The Slither Guard charging into the Uhlans. There we go. And then I'm actually going to surround this cavalry block with my shooter cav, probably also doing some friendly fire as well, but these units here are, even though they're expensive, their only job is to hold up this entire blob and make sure that the enemy infantry and cav has difficulty running up this hill. So far, Russia has gotten the shorter end of the stick here in terms of map control, just because I was able to blob up so much cav, and this engagement right here is really good for me. I'm lining up my mounted shooter cav from all angles, and even though I probably won't be able to hold this position for long because he has his infantry running up and my Slither Guard is probably gonna die, plus he has some hussars and other cav, running up to flank, this is still really good for me. These shots are really valuable right now. So more Russian cav is running up the hill, which means that I have to pull back, as you cannot really fight with mounted cav in melee, but it's always good that when you have melee cav, shooter cav and melee cav is charging your lines, you can square up and you can position the cavalry actually behind them, and then you can shoot the cavalry that's charging the squares. Over here, something, I guess we were so busy on this part and this part of the battlefield that we kind of both forgot that we had units running here. And this is actually quite a bad position for the Russians, because my semi-janissaries now have the opportunity to reach their lines without taking any casualties, basically. So, definitely micro mistakes, but it's working out better for me because I do have semi-janissaries over here. And because he's caught in a bad position, this actually means that I can dispatch one Semet over on this flank. Now, my opponent misses an opportunity here. He missed the opportunity of using these heavy cav, and I guess even like the Cossacks, to actually charge this semi-janissary for free. He just charged his cavalry downhill, which, I guess is a proper decision if you want to back it up with the Liveguard Foot, but you don't really have the opportunity here to do that, as there are 3 lines here. They're all in squares right now, obviously, because of all the cavalry, but as soon as this cavalry is cleaned up, just as I say it, I will go out of a square and I will start shooting everything that's in the center. And the problem is, as well, with not cleaning up this semi-janissary, and I think, the reason why the Russians actually are losing the center now is because the semi-janissary forces these Liveguard Foot in a square. And that makes them much less efficient at shooting regular line infantry, so I can actually compete with these elite infantry. So it's really, I think it really came down to not really focusing the semi-Janissaries when he had the opening over here. The semi-Janissaries over here are putting in the work, killing the Russian Jaegers, and then they're gonna go into the line infantry. The cavalry here is not doing much. Charging, I guess they didn't really go through a force, but they didn't get a proper charge off, and now I'm just going to position my mounted cavalry right behind my infantry and just shoot the cavalry. Well, for free, basically. And I guess my opponent wasn't fast enough as well to unsquare these units and then move back in, as I did send one mounted Nazim in there to kind of take off the pressure on this flank. So the Samets are basically done for. They're fighting in the forest, which is not optimal. I'm forgetting about these while I'm just as I gave the order, they shatter. But overall, the engagement for here is really good, despite there being an elite unit winning across the board. I guess over here I have a Warhammer tendency now to kill the general, even though in Napoleon it's, you know, like when your center is full of light guard foot, they're not gonna run anyway. So I think the better decision was probably to fire at these live guard foot. But yeah, I managed to clean up the center. Now these live guard foot are probably gonna go into melee. I basically cleaned up the cavalry on the left flank, which means that I can mobilize all these mounted cav now to either use on this flank or on this flank. But you know, this flank is quite stable. Nothing is really gonna happen here, so it should be better for me to focus on this flank right here. This live guard foot is, well, it is done for. Yeah, really, I think it came down to not really taking out this Janissary when he had the opportunity to do so. You know, coming back to Napoleon, you know, playing the game after all these years again is, you know, it was quite a breath of fresh air. I really enjoyed it. The battle atmosphere is definitely something unique, and I probably will play some more Napoleon in the future. Going after the general over here, dispatching one infantry here to kind of get an angle on this engagement. That's basically all you need to overwhelm all these units. Kill the general, and yeah, that's it. The battle is over. So GG to my opponent. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all next time.